10K Bullets presents.
The influence is very much in the eye of the beholder when it comes to audiences. I mean, I've seen people watch the thing and say, oh, when they watch the thing in Russia, where obviously they had no reference to any Italian stuff, for them it was Tarkovsky. And then, of course, when the Italian people sort of like watch the thing and they connect it to Italian things. I grew up watching a lot of Steven Spielberg, and I still think that Steven Spielberg is the best director that ever lived. I don't really think that there will ever be anyone like him. And, when it comes to Italian films, when I was a teenager, I used to watch Dario Argento's films, and there's definitely a couple of Argento's films that still stand out. The problem with Dario Argento is the fact that he's unfortunately ruined it by not making a Disney film for 15 years. And now I can't really think of him the same way as I did before. That one, to be honest, that would be the one where you could see that Italian influence, and in a way it is very much on the surface. Because there's one thing where a lot of the stuff I'm actually interested in, and a lot of the stuff I'm obsessed with, is most of the stuff that those filmmakers never really dealt with. For them it was always about the killing and the people and the mad people. Now that they put all the shorts together one after the other, I'm always on the side of the monsters, but for me the monsters, I'm much more interested in problem monsters. Of course you would change a lot of stuff, but then you would change it the next day. You don't have to wait years. At the same time, the great thing is that I went through a period where I actually believed, yes, I would change, and suddenly I got into the thing where I would have had to change a lot for me to be pleased with it, and then suddenly I reassessed it and I realized I was falling into the trap of not realizing that a lot of people watched it. And that was a big surprise for me. They were actually watching a different film. I realized a lot of the horror audiences, they came to it with their own preconceptions. And by the end of the film, it was almost like if that's the film they wanted to watch, and that's the film they'd seen, even if the film wasn't anything like that. It's by no means, it means that I would redo it exactly the same, no way, because also I'm not the same person. Also, there's no way that I think that that's without any defects, but with all the defects, I actually think it makes a lot more sense, and a lot of people get out of it. The final sort of like epiphany was we did the grading for the HD version, and what happened was that the guy who did the grading did a pre-grade before I arrived to supervise the thing, and this 55-year-old Italian guy, and he just did the grade visually, and he watched the whole thing mute, and he was telling me the whole story. He understood every single bloody thing, and I'm thinking, okay, this guy understood, so he must be there. This guy didn't know the film, he's telling me the stuff, so he must be in the film for people to get it, you know what I mean? Where a lot of people didn't get it because they got their own, they see the nuns and they immediately think, oh, evil nun. No, nuns are evil, but for other reasons, not because, in this film it's not like I made evil nuns. They're nuns with with any obsession that any sort of like really religious nun would have, and what they're trying to do from their point of view and from humanity's point of view, in a way, would be a good thing. When was it, 98, I think?
Longer, I heard, but I noticed that from the cuts by looking at the cuts. It seems to run better now.
In fact, that was a little bit longer, but because I cut it. I cut it down. In 2002, I went back and...
That's one thing you checked.
Yeah, but I think it works much better now.
Same here, yeah.
Also, it's also the great thing about the power of editing. I just changed the order of just 2 fragments, and it immediately, it made certain things so much clearer. And that's really fascinating for me because I'm a great fan of editing, and I'm really sorry about the fact that I think very soon there won't be any editors around. Because now everyone basically knows the software. And before you didn't know the software. Because it would take you about 10 minutes to technically know how to cut film. Everything else you had to learn was about cutting. It was about actually editing stuff together and making it match and making it have a certain rhythm and all that sort of stuff. Now people know how to push buttons. They spend 2 years knowing the software inside out, but they don't know how to edit. Obsession for years. which is Making a Ritual, which is based on Graham Masterton's book. And what happened was that, you know, I optioned that for a few times, then he collapsed and whatever, but then a few months ago, finally, now we're going to do it with NoShame. They actually bought the book. We were supposed to go into production by the end of the year, but, you know, we will definitely do it by next year. And also we got, well, now suddenly I'll be like Takashi Miike. I'll do 4 films a year. It's like, you know, I'll sort of like, I'll catch up with the things I wanted to do. I'm a kind of renegade. I sort of, apart from the fact that I moved from Italy, sort of like straight after high school. So I don't really, and in a way I know I moved because I never felt towards Italian in almost anywhere. And I definitely would never do what the Italians used to do. I don't know if they still do it. I mean, I think, you know, the fact is that number one, they don't really make films for the international market. So probably a lot of the films they make, they're in Italian, and they do shoots.
So this was entirely shot in English?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean,
cool.
But that's the other thing about this film.
Nice.
Because like there's so much confusion. I remember going to a screening. We did a screening at the Egyptian Theatre a few years ago, and this guy was going in, and he was telling his friends, "Oh, you know, this is the dubbed version." And I said, "Sorry, I actually made the film. This film was never. In fact, it's never been dubbed into Italian. That was one of the main problems. It was never dubbed into Italian, so in Italy you can only get it with subtitles."
Was it most of the cast and crew also English too? A lot of them.
We just had the lead. Was it?
Oh, the lead. Oh, okay.
And the co-lead was she was Russian, but she lived in Manchester, so she could speak English really well, so that helped.
Nice.
And everyone else was Ukrainian or Russian, and I've only discovered afterwards that I actually had like a proper sort of like, you know, Russian star in there, and I'm really sorry I wasn't aware of it at the time.
Yeah.
Only because she was like a really interesting woman. It's when you watch the film, you see there's the woman that plays the Mother Superior.
Oh yes, she's very
she
good.
Was like, you know, she was 87 at the time, and I remember, you know, she had to wear these contact lenses, and I said to her, "Oh, you know, I'm sorry, you know, I apologize. The contact lenses are very uncomfortable." And she said, "Oh, you know, I've been in prison under Stalin for, I don't remember, 4 years or something. So, you know, these contact lenses on me are just like just a picnic." And, you know, she was really, you know, she'd lived through the Russian Revolution, and, you know, it was one of those people that, number one, I only wish I could have sort of talked to her, because of course, you know, she spoke Russian. So, you know, you communicate through the interpreters, which is not ideal. But, thank you. Well, but, you know, she was, and then I discovered she was like a proper big Russian actress, and she made lots of films. And apparently this was her last film. And I've only just discovered it now, and it was sort of like